How's it going, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of our Lorbeck Luxury Cars Friday Drive. Now this week I have the absolute pleasure of driving this beautiful Mclaren 570S. Let's talk a little bit about the exterior styling. Now you'll notice very subtly it has a two-tone color. So you've got the black on top and then the gray accents, and you'll see those a little bit throughout the car as we go through it. But we've also got this MSO styling here that matches with the MSO factory rear spoiler as well, which we'll have a look at in a second. I mean, it's such a pretty car. McLarens always are, and it's very, very true to the brand. We've got the lightweight gray rails here that actually match with that splitter. As well as we come around the side, you've got the signature, the 570S just there. And then just on the door frame, you can see in this little inlet here, that lighter gray, just to give the car a little bit of contrast. We're gonna open up the doors as well. I mean, it doesn't get any cooler than that, does it? I mean, there's nothing quite as nice as opening a door and let it just fold above you rather than outwards, right? And we've got this, as we close it up here, we've got our spider styling and that twin aluminum roof. You can make that change up to about 48 kilometers an hour. So even as you're just driving around town and you go a bit of rain maybe, just pop that roof up straight away, 48 k's an hour. It's actually quite fast for a lot of cars like this to be able to engage that roofing. Now, coming round the side here, we'll finish off with the engine bay. You can see a sort of honeycomb grille at the back here to let a little bit of that heat out from the engine bay. And then this MSO, you can see there, factory MSO rear spoiler, the carbon fiber as well, so super lightweight, something that's very particular about this car. You've got the lightweight wheels, you've got the lightweight rear spoiler as well, and that carbon monocoque chassis that they actually use in the car as well. On the rear, we've also got these big open exhaust pipes and then that rear diffuser there. Now at speed, that's going to help the car to suck to the floor to give the car more grip. So when you are driving it on a circuit, that rear wing's going to help, that front splitter's going to help, but also like the current Formula One cars, like the current McLaren in F1 now with Lando Norris and obviously the Aussie Oscar Piastri, that floor makes all of the grip, and that's going to really help us if we were to take it on the circuit. So we're starting our drive now. We're just heading along the motorway, just cruising like 80 k's an hour with everyone going past us. I want to talk a little bit about the specs of the 570. Now, particularly with the engine, we're not going to get to the full capacity of this. This car does close to 365 kilometers an hour, which, let's be honest, none of us are ever going to do in one of these things. But with a weight of about 1,400 kilos, the power to weight ratio on this thing with roughly 564 brake horsepower, 570 PS, which is where the name 570 comes from. Power to weight ratio in this car is pretty impressive, and the 0 to 100 k's an hour is 3.2, and the 0 to 200 is 9.2, 9.3, which is blisteringly quick. But what I found most impressive as I'm just cruising along here is that we're in comfort mode at the moment, and we'll have a play around with the different settings in a bit, but I am so comfortable right now. Like, I could drive this all day for hours and I would not get uncomfortable. The ride is very smooth, the steering's nice and light. We're just cruising, and it feels like that. Whereas, of course, once we put it into sport and track mode, that will change. But what I find most impressive is that it's got all that power to weight ratio. You've got so much performance in this thing, but it doesn't feel strange to be driving at a normal speed. So if you were to take one of these on the track, you're going to be one of the fastest cars at the track day. But if you want to drive it day to day, well, you can do that really, really easily in this thing too. We're going to go through a few corners here, start to feel what that's like. Now, in comfort mode, we've spoken about it. It's super comfortable, very, very soft suspension. Now, down here we have our three different modes, if you will. So we've got our sport mode, which is going to help us not so much on circuit, of course it will, but this mode for me is more for your daily driving and get a little bit more out of a spirited drive, if you will. Then the next step with that is our track mode. So this is going to give us everything. And we spoke about it in the Taycan, those extra modes, that Sport Plus or track mode or whatever the manufacturer might call it, those modes are incredible. And in a car like this, on a track, and I've driven quite a lot of McLarens on the track, I was in a 720S just last week, in that track mode, it just changes the profile of what the car's capable of, and it makes it so capable. You put your foot down, you feel like you're going warp speed. It's pretty incredible. We're gonna go over a speed bump here. And actually, even without the lift kit up, it dealt with it really well. You can feel the steering sharpened up a little bit. Really direct, which is an awful lot of fun. We'll talk about a little about the interior. We've got our Alcantara finish on the dash there. But in McLarens, you go one of two ways. It's either Alcantara everywhere, or you have that carbon pack option, which this one has. You can see on the steering wheel, on the center console here, down here where the cluster is for the dials, and then on the door frames as well. There's just carbon everywhere in this. Everywhere I look, there's carbon fiber somewhere. It keeps it lightweight, but also looks great. And particularly with the black interior with the papaya orange stitching, that sort of very traditional McLaren papaya color. We've got the papaya seat belt, we've got it on the steering wheel here, and then actually in the stitching you can see just here, you've got that two-tone papaya double stitching, which I think is a fantastic, just a little touch that if you're gonna get a McLaren, this colorway is right up there with one of the best. And that's it for another episode of our Lawbait Luxury Cars Friday Drive. I've had so much fun driving this thing. McLarens are always fantastic cars. On a day like today, having the Spider has been really enjoyable. I'm certainly going to enjoy the drive back to our Melbourne showroom now as well. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Instagram, and keep up to date with all things Lawbait Luxury Cars. And we'll see you next time.